friends, this is Dale Richardson from newleafnutrition.com, and today I have a new video for you. It's been some time since I made my last video, but please excuse the lapse in time. We've moved to a new house, this is a new kitchen, a new location, but in the same country. I'm still living in Portugal, the beautiful country of Portugal. And anyway, today the video that I want to bring to you is I want to show you how to make a raw superfood, super herb chocolate, because let's face it, we are wired to love sweet tasting things, and some of us are gonna be loving these sweet tasting things more than others, and perhaps in an unhealthy way. So what I want to show you today is a substitute for a sweet that we often crave for, and that's chocolate. So what do we need to make this raw superfood chocolate? Well, it's not so complicated. The first thing we need is to ensure that we have raw cacao. So what we have here is, let me just go ahead and take it out and show you. It's really a block of compressed chocolate, raw cacao. This is what it looks like. I'll even get closer to the camera. So we're going to need raw cacao, and I got this from my friends at Biosamara. They are a superfood super herb provider in Portugal. Highly recommended. So we're going to need the actual raw cacao. We're also going to need the cacao butter. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. So this is the cacao butter. So we'll need some of this as well. What else do we need? Well, we need something to sweeten it up a bit. So to sweeten it up, today I'm going to use honey. So this is organic, unprocessed honey. But you could also use other kinds of sweeteners, like especially if you are trying to really stay on a low sugar diet. You could use something like stevia, you could use something like xylitol, you could use a combination of the two. But I really like to use honey, but you could also use coconut sugar. Yeah, there are a lot of choices available. I'm going to also add some goji berries to our chocolate, some chia seeds, some cashews, some hazelnuts, some reishi mushroom, and a chaga mushroom extract. So these are the ingredients that we're going to work with, and I'll take you through the process. So what's the first thing that we want to do? Well, the first thing, before I even start to melt this chocolate in a water bath, I'm going to go ahead and grind up some of my nuts, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up pouring this chocolate over a pile of these nuts and superfoods, and then we'll see where to go from there. So I'm just going to grind up these nuts. I'm going to use a coffee grinder for this. And I'm not going to be too strict about the measurements. I'm just going to take, like, say, you know, I'm going to take a handful of cashews. I'm going to grind these bad boys up. Okay. So I've got the cashews all ground up, and I'm just going to pour that into this baking dish. Okay. A little bit powdery, but whatever. Let's go ahead and take some of our hazelnuts. Just another handful. A couple more. Throw them in. Get this out of the way. This out of the way. Okay. Close this up. And I'll just pulse this. Well, we've made a new discovery. Hazelnuts will not be ground up in a coffee grinder. So, if that's the case, just get the food processor out. Quickly pulse these guys. Got the hazelnuts. put them on this baking dish here for now. You know what? I'll also just take a handful of goji berries. Toss that in. A little bit more. Okay. Small, let's say about a tablespoon. I mean, you could even go more if you want, of chia seeds. So I'll just do 2 tablespoons worth of chia seeds. Just go ahead and incorporate this a little bit. Okay. Alright, so we got our nuts, we have our chia seeds, we have our goji berries, we have, yeah, this is ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to add the chaga extract and the reishi mushroom powder directly to the melted chocolate. So let's go ahead and start melting up that chocolate. First thing we're going to want to do is get the pan heated up. Alright, so we got that going on. Okay, now while this water is heating up, I'm going to need to weigh out approximately, not approximately, 100 grams of the pressed cacao and 25 grams of the cacao butter. So I'm going to go ahead and get my scale out. And I'm also going to get a bowl, a plate. Let's go with a plate. And tear that scale. This chunk is 105 grams. You know what? I'm going to let it slide. I'm just going to use it all. Let's see how much this cacao butter weighs. Okay, that's a 70 gram chunk. We only want 25, so I'm going to have to shave some of this off. Get my trusty chef's knife out. And let's see, cutting board. So we want about 25 grams up there. Let's see. Incidentally, you could actually use this cacao butter as a moisturizer. Just take a little bit of it and rub it into your hands. It's quite natural. It smells great and works well. Okay. 2, 3, a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, that's good. It's actually 27, but we'll pretend it's 25 since I did go 105 grams on the cacao, the pressed cacao. And I'll get this out of the way. So, you know, just dumping this whole thing into the water bath, just get that started, is not going to be the best of things to do because this is going to be really cumbersome to melt. So what I'm going to do is break it up a bit and toss it in the food processor. So I'm just going to chunk this a little bit. And if you want to have a closer look, I'll bring this in. Really, really nice. I mean, you can just eat it straight like this. But of course, mind you, it won't be very sweet. But still, very good. I'm going to go ahead and throw this into the food processor. Keep that in. Get this out of the way. Alright. So that's in there. Now I'm just going to go ahead and toss the cacao butter in as well. Turn this heat down. I mean, to really keep it a raw chocolate, you're not going to want to go above 42 degrees centigrade. But since I don't have a thermometer with me, I'm not going to be able to tell exactly at what temperature I'm melting the chocolate. but I'm definitely going to make sure that the chocolate isn't bubbling or roiling or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and I will toss this directly in. There we go. I'm going to get a wooden spoon here and just start stirring this in this water bath. And you'll start to see it melting there. Yep, there it goes. It doesn't take very long. It's pretty quick. Now again, if you wanted to truly ensure that this would be a raw chocolate, you'd be using a thermometer and observing the temperature and making sure that the temperature of the chocolate does not go beyond 42 degrees centigrade. And let me just go ahead and touch it. Yeah, I mean it's hot enough to melt, but it's really just lukewarm, so I'm not so concerned about the temperature. This is pretty raw. Alright, let's keep going. Now it's pretty bitter. I tasted it. It's you know, this is 100% chocolate. And it's pretty bitter. But that's okay, because what I'm going to do is, to this melted chocolate, I'm going to put in, like, I'd say a teaspoon of reishi powder, a couple squirts of chaga extract, and then probably 2 to 4 tablespoons of honey until I get it to the sweetness that I want. And at this point, I mean, you could add any superfoods that you want. You could throw in some maca, you could throw in some moringa, you could throw in some lucuma, you could throw in some mucuna. Yeah, it's really just sky's the limit on what superfoods or super herbs you want to toss into this chocolate to really give it a superfood kick and take it up to another level of nutrition. So anyway, that's totally done. And now I'm going to take the honey and I'm going to add the honey in. And I'm going to stir. And I'm going to taste until it's at that level of sweetness that I like, which isn't overbearingly sweet. It's just right. So that was like a tablespoon. I'm going to add a second tablespoon. Now, I'd probably stop there if it were just for me, but since I'm making this for someone else, I'm going to make it a little bit sweeter. This would be about 3 tablespoons of honey. Let's see. Let's go ahead and kick that up to 3.5. That should be it. That's great. So now I'm going to take and put in the chaga mushroom extract. So if you haven't heard of chaga, I suggest Googling it. Chaga is an amazing mushroom that grows on birch trees, and it has incredible medicinal properties. One of the richest antioxidant sources that we have on this planet is from the chaga mushroom. Chaga mushroom also alleviates chemotherapy symptoms and goes a long way in preventing one from getting cancer in the first place. A huge immune system boosting mushroom. In fact, all mushrooms that boost the immune system, they contain long chain polysaccharides that act as fuel for your immune system. So your white blood cells love the polysaccharides in mushrooms. Alright, so I got the chaga extract in there. I'm going to toss in some reishi. So they call chaga the king of medicinal mushrooms. They call reishi the queen. So I'm going to add, I'd say, about a teaspoon of reishi. Mix this up. The last thing to do is just simply pour the chocolate into the pie pan and put it in the refrigerator for 15 minutes, and bam, you're done. Or the freezer. Alright, so let me just get this out of the way. Grab this. Start pouring. Just make sure I got this all. Actually, it's really hot glass. I need to get a towel. There we go. That's it. Now I'm just going to mix this into the nuts very simply. And then, after it's been in the refrigerator or freezer for 15 minutes, all you do is break off the chocolate into bite-sized pieces and enjoy. Now what you could do is you could also pour the chocolate into molds, but this is a very quick way to do it. But if you can get yourself some silicone molds, you can put the chocolate in there and have wonderful bite-sized pieces of chocolate ready to go. But this is really the quick and dirty way to make your own homemade chocolate. So that's delicious. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and we'll see what it looks like in 15 minutes. Alright, so this is what the finished product looks like. Well, I had a little accident in the refrigerator. The pan was slanted over, so there's quite an abundance of chocolate here. But let's go ahead and let's see if we can break off a piece. It's just been in the freezer for about 15 minutes. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Let me see. Okay, not the easiest. Use one hand. There we go. There is a piece of homemade superfood raw chocolate. Delicious. Really good with the goji berries. So nice. Damn, that's a good chocolate. And I just wanted to say a couple things about raw cacao. You know, very different from what you'd find in a grocery store. And in the typical chocolate aisle where you have all these milk chocolates and processed chocolates with a lot of sugar and additives and preservatives. This is 100% pure chocolate. You've controlled the ingredients that you've put in it. And raw cacao has a lot of benefits to it. Cacao is an immense source of antioxidants. More antioxidant power than goji berries, acai berries, pomegranates, blueberries, red wine combined. And it's also a good source of magnesium, iron, chromium, manganese, zinc, copper, vitamin C, and has some other pretty cool chemicals in them, like phenylethylamine, which is a chemical that's produced in our brains when we fall in love. And this is a chemical that's found in chocolate. So it's really interesting that we give people chocolate on Valentine's Day, or we give people chocolate when we're in love. So how about you upgrade that and give someone you love homemade raw chocolate with superfood and super herbs in it. Another chemical is called anandamide, which is a Sanskrit word, ananda, for meaning bliss. So it's an endorphin that our bodies naturally produce after exercising, but it's found in cacao. So that's quite cool. Another one is tryptophan. So tryptophan is an amino acid that our bodies convert into serotonin, so the feel-good, happy neurotransmitter. And cacao, in fact, even has serotonin in it. So it's kind of a natural antidepressant. So there you go. This has been a short video on how to make your own homemade raw cacao. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them below. I will definitely address them. And thank you very much. So this has been another video from Dale Richardson at newleafnutrition.com. Thank you. Subscribe. Bye.